All right. Oh, that
Super patient.
super patient. Oh yeah.
Yeah, 55,749
I know.
Polka economy.
Polka bucks. Yes, that is true. Okay, so in this
Polka
one,
euro.
Polka euro. I'll poke your euro. Did it. Did it. I swear they had better things, better TMs to buy. I'm super wrong, though. That sucks, diddly-ucks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we got to go up here and actually buy something.
A lemonade for 350?
Yeah, 350 polka bucks. Obviously, this economy is a little different than we think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Our economy probably will get there.
Yeah.
I looked today.
Sure.
One hamburger. I got 2 hamburgers. Just hamburger. From McDonald's.
Yes.
For $4.50. Yeah, it was like $3 per hamburger.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
This thing's nuts, dude. It's
out of control, bro.
This economy is nuts, man.
It's nuts.
It is
I know.
so bad.
I know.
Like,
What do you want from me? I'm not the one who made the economy. I'm not the one who did it. Okay? It's not my fault. Aren't you the peeping Tom? No,
no.
Peeping Tom. I'm 10 years old. I'm a little boy. Bulbasaur.
I drove up to the gas station today. Like $3.79. I'm like, I remember when it was $1.25.
Yeah.
And I'm and I'm like, well, back in my day,
Well, back in my day,
when it was $1.25 and $1 per hamburger.
yeah, don't you remember the double at Burger King was 99 cents?
Uh-huh.
You remember those days?
Yeah.
I remember those days.
I remember when it was 2 for $5 for 2 Whoppers.
I remember when it was 5 for 5 at Arby's. You remember that?
Uh-huh.
5 for 5 roast beef sandwiches at Arby's. Like
Yeah.
we ain't living in the same time.
No. Someone said something today was up 300%. And it's like, you guys cannot tell us that it's 7% inflation. Like,
Well,
in what world?
Well, and that's the tricks they play, right? Because they're like, okay, we lowered inflation. It's like, okay, so for that to be true, all you would have to do is say, okay, it was 9% inflation. Let's say it was 9% inflation, it's worse, just to throw out a number.
Mhm.
And then you put in some policies that took it from 9% to 8%. And you're like, look, I lowered it 1%. And it's like, and so then they say, I lowered it. And it's like, no, like inflation is still 8%.
Mhm.
You just took it from 9 to 8 though. And then you're pretending like you did something great. Like the inflation though is still running rampant. And the thing is too, is when, so let's say that let's say it's 9% for a year, right?
Uh-huh.
So everything goes up 9% total things. Well, when you lower it, that doesn't mean you lowered back down from the price it is. It's still the 9% inflation,
Mhm.
but then inflation is just growing lower. So if gas went from, $2 to $4, which is, 200%, right? Or 100% if you're doubling it from 2 to 4. So there's 100% inflation, right? And then you lowered it from that to 50%. Well, it didn't go back down below 4. It went from $4. Then the next year comes and it's 50%. Now it's $5. Like, or no, $6. So the inflation didn't go down. Like, you still keep the inflated amount and then you're just adding on top of it.
Yeah. If you want,
that's what people don't get. Like, that's what they don't understand.
Yeah. If you want to impress us, get gas back down to $1.75.
Right.
Then we're like, yeah, inflation.
And then be like, oh, okay, yeah, you did, like, yeah, like get food to where it was, like, in order, and I'll tell you this, whoever you like and who you follow, that's fine. I really don't care. They're all men and they all do stupid stuff. It doesn't matter. Men and women, they all do dumb things. If I don't care, as long as the things they do affect me in a positive way. So it's like, I obviously don't want them to, like, you know, break laws or anything like that. And that's a whole nother conversation about different things. But let's say that our current president did actually get everything back to pre-COVID numbers, like everything. Then I would be like, yeah, that, like, you could compel me, even though I might not like anything else that he does, you could make a compelling argument for you to say, yeah, you should vote for him in the next election. It's like, yeah, that's not unreasonable. Even if you don't like other things about him, if the policies he enacted got everything back to where it was, where we were feeling good about things, then that is a reasonable conclusion to be like, okay, well, we should keep him in office,
right?
Because the things he did helped ordinary Americans. And all the other things you can have a debate about. You can say yes, no, or, you know, whatever. But, like, what you don't want is for things to continue to get worse, whoever it is that you vote for. Right. You know, and people on all sides are dumb about that, because they're like, well, I'm in this camp and I've always been in this camp and my family's always been in this camp.
Right.
And I can't go to another camp because if I do, I'll be, you know, ostracized or whatever it is, you know, for whatever reason that you don't want to go somewhere else. And then you're thinking to yourself, but it's like, but that literally defeats the purpose. Right. Like, that literally defeats what we're talking about. Like, you shouldn't cut your nose off to spite your face. Like,
right. And that's
the only argument for Trump. That's literally the only argument for him, is because, like, I don't pretend like he's some wonderful man, right? Like, because he's not.
Right.
And people can have whatever opinions they want about those things, and I have no issue. But did he do like things that helped you as an individual? And it's like, well, yeah.
Sure.
And probably every American felt those things.
And can name them.
Right.
Like
you can name, it's like, yeah, what were the interest rates like? What was gas like? What was food like? What was, you know, were we in wars? Like, there's a lot of things like that matter. And
right, no new wars.
That's what people should be looking at, not, oh, he was a Republican, or he's a Democrat. And, you know, and I understand there are social issues that are really important that you do want to, like, do that with. There's nothing wrong with that either. And that was a bad choice.
Yeah.
I'm just no matter what I do.
I was just gonna say,
oh my gosh, all the poison! Why? Everything is so terrible. And Pikachu can't do anything. This Pikachu is terrible, Tyler. So bad.
I was gonna say, I like people have just, and the only thing that Democrats or Biden supporters can say is like, and just feign this audacity that you would want Trump back. You know, like,
Well,
how dare you?
Well, right.
And it's like, dude, I remember when I was ready to move, I had saved up enough to move. I had a job that paid $80,000 a year. I remember when I could be like, I want another job. And I felt like I could go get another job in a week, maybe 2. I remember when I could go to the store and $300 would pay for a month's worth of food. Like, I remember these things. I remember when my credit score was 780, 810. And now, I'm not moving. I'm 35 and I can't move anywhere.
Right. We can't move.
Yeah,
We can't go anywhere.
yeah. I can't move. And it's like, now I had to really concentrate on how are we gonna pay for this 2-week vacation to my in-laws, where I have to sleep in a side bedroom. You know, that's probably gonna be a terrible 2 weeks, and I'm worried about paying for it. You know, and it just
Well, and that's what I
goes
mean,
on
the
and on,
thing-
and it doesn't feel
the
right now. It
thing-
doesn't feel like what.
And like the thing is we have an actual real barometer where a lot of times it's a really slow burn.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like from president to president, it's like, oh, it wasn't that bad. And then it's like because like years had passed.
Uh-huh.
But because of COVID, we actually had a very like easy way to say no, like this happened, and these are the marks that we want. And so in that, and again, it's the same thing. It's like, okay, people will say, well, the economy is doing good because we have more jobs, and it's like, well, no, we don't have more jobs. We just have more jobs since COVID. It's like you stole $200 from me and I got $150 back, and then you said, look how great I am for giving you the $150 back. And it's like, no, you still owe me $50 more.
Right.
And then not only do you owe me $50 more, you actually owe me for the pain and suffering of having stolen from me.
Uh-huh.
Like, and that's what's kind of funny to me too, is like, you're not, people are refusing to admit the whole story.
Yeah.
All of it, not just.
Well, I was telling my coworker yesterday, I'm like, it's just like when, so Trump put a cap on insulin at $35.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Biden comes in, ends it. First day, he ends that $35 cap. A year later, puts it back in.
Right.
And says, look how wonderful I am. I put a cap on your insulin.
Right.
Aren't I just a genius?
Right.
And all of the diabetics are like, dude, like, stop. Like, you're just so full of it. But he doesn't care what the diabetics think.
Well, he doesn't care about, and this is just politicians in general as well.
Right.
They don't care about maintaining wins and the success of programs that work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's like, I've been honest about this, like whatever, like Obamacare is a perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't studied enough about Obamacare as a whole. There are people that say that it's good or bad, I'm going to talk about one thing that I like about it. I like that you were able as a child to stay on your parents' plan until you were 26.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's a good way to help generations that won't have health care that go into the world that are 18. It's a little more socialistic than capitalistic, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's room for us to do that, and it doesn't really hurt it doesn't hurt anyone. Like, and the thing is that it's a choice, right? So it's like your parents can still say, well, no, like, I don't want you on my healthcare plan. You have to, you know, do it all on your own. And if that's the way your family does it, then bully for them. And, you know, you have to pay for your own healthcare. So it's not like they are forced to keep your child on it. Like, that's not what it is.
Right.
And so it's like, I feel like that's a perfect example of what we're talking about is like, and that's just one thing of that plan. Because again, I'm not saying anything else.
Yeah.
But it's like, but you're right. Like what they're saying about like he does that because he doesn't want political opponents do that to each other on both sides of the aisle because they don't want them to have any kind of win ever. And then they do exactly that. They literally, like a lot of times they'll go right back and put the same thing on
because it was
a good idea. And then they say that they're the one that did it. And it's like, and here's the thing. Guess what, America? The reason they do it is because it works. Because people are morons.
Right.
Like,
right.
People are stupid. And they literally fall for it. So, like, they wouldn't treat you like morons if you didn't act like morons.
Right.
Like, and we all do it. But it's like, that's why everyone, you know, hates politicians. Because they use our ignorance against us. And it's not like you can be, like, everyone is going to be ignorant about something. It's like, it just depends on what it is. So it's like, if we're playing video games, you're going to be the ignorant one.
Right.
If we go to a rock concert, I'm going to be the ignorant one. Like, it doesn't matter. All it is just dependent on where you're at. And so like that's really all it is. Doug received TM21.
Yeah, and it's just using people's ignorance.
Half the damage it inflicts is drained to heal your Pokemon.
Because me and Brianna know that policy. We know it.
Yeah, like I had no idea that was first. If you had asked me, I would have probably said, "Oh yeah, Biden put that in," and he would have been like, "Well, no, like it was actually first done by Trump," and then it'd be like, "Oh." That's a great example. And that's what's so hard because it's just like we were saying with the interest rate. It's just like we were saying with job creation. It's like people don't know what they don't know. And they also are ignorant to all of the subtlety. Because it's like we're just talking about a few topics. Like if we keep going down this rabbit hole, like it's going to get worse and worse and worse. And there's a lot more to talk about. And it's like, and then you just feel like, man, I'm kind of done with talking about all the things. And again, but that just goes back to what we're saying. It's like if you pick a party, I'm not even against like people picking a party. Like I understand that because then in general you feel like, okay, in general I can probably be okay because in general they'll probably do the things that I want them to do. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's not terrible. But if you do that, if that's your tactic,
right,
you run the risk of it one day of that not being true.
Right.
Like you run the risk of, and the thing is the day that it's not true, it might be a really bad thing. Like it might be something that's so bad that it ruins, like that it affects your life. So and it just sets you back years. It's like just like you're saying, you were preparing to move, you felt like you could do it. Lots of people probably felt we're in that same boat, and then all of a sudden it's like, nope, we can't. And
right,
you have now been set back at least 4 years, and if you're honest, it's probably going to be more like 6 or 7.
Right.
Because let's say that the parties do flip and Trump does become president, you're still it's still gonna take time, like, because all these things lag.
Right.
Like they're all lagging factors.
Like my credit score isn't gonna go back up to 810 overnight.
Well, and even if it was 810, you would still only be able to get a 7% interest rate at best.
Right.
Like I almost have an 800 credit score, and the truck that I bought has is it 8? I think it's an 8% interest rate.
Right.
Like, that's absurd.
Right.
Like, I obviously should have a better interest rate than that, but I don't.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so we're in this little place, and in this little place, there's a secret.
Yeah, so you talk about domestic stuff, but then you talk about foreign
Right.
things. Like, what war did we have with Trump?
Right.
Did we have any? Well, Israel's on fire. Gaza's on fire. Ukraine is on fire. Like, and now last week there was a Russia submarine off of Cuba. Like,
Our hideout might be discovered. I better tell Boss.
and yet our guy at the G7 starts wandering off. Like,
Well,
okay,
and that's the problem, is that all these things matter, and it's not meant to be like, who are you? How did you get here? It's not meant to be like a bashing of any one person. It's just a look at, like, because we have to be like, well, what about this and what about that? So we have to play in politics, especially with all of the dumb whataboutisms. So that's the only thing we can do, especially because we only have two parties that really have a shot.
Right.
And so it's just like that's really the only thing that we can do. And it's it becomes a struggle session in every way that you can think.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, like, you only have your choice between the two parties, and then, but one of the best things Trump has going for him is that you can compare both presidencies. You know?
Well, right. Well, the thing is like, that's why I try to get away from, like, what is best for an individual party, even though I am a conservative myself. Like, that's why we, the Christian channel, like, there's a reason that we actually do that. But the thing is, so we're in this hideout, just to go back a little bit to this. We're in this hideout. We don't know what's going in, but we know that there's just a bunch of Team Rocket people in here. You broke into our operation. Because here's the thing, like, it doesn't matter to me. It's the same reason that I, like, donated to Andrew Yang's platform, because I thought he was the best candidate at the time, and then I ended up voting for someone else or I didn't vote the Democrat line, and I don't vote Democrat line. Like, it's the same reason why with, like, Spencer Cox, like, I voted for him in this last one, and then I didn't really like some of the things he was doing, and then I feel like he's done more of the things that I like, and, like, he's definitely been really good for teachers. And so it's like, or at least while he's been governor, teacher, like, salaries have gotten better, and he seems to, like, push that. So it's like, okay, so then that makes me as a teacher, like, more, and that's what's so funny, and that's what seems like politicians have forgotten, is that if you do the things that, like, people want, then they'll vote for you. So like when Spencer Cox helps to raise teacher salaries, It's like, okay, as a teacher, that gives me impetus to want to vote for him. Like
Right.
that. And whether that's good or bad, or like you think that's a bad choice, that we can have that debate. But he's literally doing something that leads to me having more
Mhm.
and helps my family. So it's like, and you're not going to get perfect with any candidate for sure. It's like,
Right.
people love Ronald Reagan that are conservatives. I don't love Ronald Reagan.
Mhm.
Like, I think he did a lot of good things, but there's a lot of things I think he did really bad.
Uh-huh.